If you want to find out what kind of guys you might be into in astrology, look for these two placements in your natal chart. First, look for your Mars placement. What sign and what house is your Mars placement in? Because your Mars placement will show the type of masculine energy that you are so into. You might find that guys with the traits of your Mars sign are exactly the type of guy that you're really into. For example, if you have your Mars in Gemini, maybe you really like guys who are really good at communications, good, really strong writers, could be in the spotlight in some way, or just really good with people and really good with words. And second, you're going to want to look for your Jupiter placement. Your Jupiter placement can indicate the husband in astrology. This can indicate what kind of traits your husband will have and what you seek for in a partner who is a man. You might really yearn for somebody with these traits. And when you meet somebody who has personal planets conjunct your Jupiter placement, you will want to have a long-term partnership with this person, and you might even want to marry this person. Hi, my name is Elizabeth, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Here we like to talk about astrology, numerology, and everything written in the stars for you. I am a practicing astrologer who has studied the art of astrology since 2017, and here on this channel, I like to share my knowledge with you about astrology. By looking at both of these placements, you can really get a full sense of what kind of guys you're really into based on your natal chart. In this video, I'm going to go through Mars through all of the signs and Jupiter through all of the signs to give you a sense of what kind of guys that you are going to be looking for in a romantic partnership or in a long-term relationship, such as a marriage. If you have Mars in Aries, you are looking for a guy who is really strong-willed, somebody very driven. This person could be very attractive. This person could also be somebody who you look for and seek, who is just very good looking and somebody who you want to keep around. This person could be very strong-willed and driven. This person could be like a sports athlete or somebody who uses their body in a way that in order to achieve a goal. These people could be in the military. These people could have personality traits where they're very driven, ambitious people. These people could be CEOs or entrepreneurs. These people could be like personal trainers. You could fall in love with your personal trainer because they could embody the traits of Aries, and you having your Mars in Aries, you really like people who do physical things with their body. You could also really like to watch guys on TV doing sports. You could really like football players, basketball players, hockey players. You could really like professional athletes. You could be somebody who really likes like movies about like war and stuff like that. You could love to watch like Gerard Butler and all of the movies he was in, like 300. You could love superhero movie guys, like guys who are superheroes in movies, like actors who portray superheroes in movies. That could be like your type. Like you could really like guys like that. If you have your Mars in Taurus, you're looking for somebody who is very sensual and earthy, somebody who loves food. You could also be looking for somebody who's a little bit well off and somebody who might have like a lot of money in their life. You could be looking for like somebody with a trust fund, somebody who works in finance. You could be looking for somebody who is well off or comes from like a wealthy family. You could be somebody who looks for a guy who might be a real estate investor or a real estate mogul. You could be somebody who wants to marry a chef or a guy who's really good with food. He might cook for you, or a guy who cooks for you. You might really be into that type of guy. If you have your Mars in Gemini, you might be looking for somebody who's very communicative. Somebody being a writer might be the most attractive thing in like you've ever experienced in your whole life. You might be really into like TV show writers or people who are writers in online or write news articles. You could be looking for somebody who could be a journalist or somebody who is a public speaker or somebody who speaks and communicates in some way. You might fall in love with a social media influencer and all they do on social media is just yap. Like that's all they do. They just yap about stuff. That could be your ideal type. Like that could be what you want. You could also fall in love with like lead singers of bands or people with microphones because they are communicating and speaking in a way that's kind of like social. That could be like what you're really into. You might also be really into guys who will be creative writers or might have like a blog, a news outlet on social media where you can listen to them speak and listen to them communicate. If you have your Mars in Cancer, you might be looking for a guy who's a little bit more nurturing, somebody who might love to cook and take care of you, somebody who might be a little bit more domestic, somebody who could be like a little bit more of a homebody where they love to be at home or work from home. This guy could be somebody who works from home, makes his own bread, is kind of like a homebody in a way where they want to be at home and only be at home. This person could also be very nurturing. They could also be something like a school teacher where they work with children in order to nurture them, and having and seeing like guys in roles that are like fatherly or roles where they're like a parental figure could be very attractive to you, and that could be what you really like and what you want in a partner. It could be somebody who just is very good and you love seeing this person in like a parental father figure role. You could really be into that and really like that by having a Mars in Cancer. If you have your Mars in Leo, you are looking for a guy who's kind of a performer, somebody who loves to entertain and be in the spotlight. This person could be funny. This person could be entertaining to be around. This person could be the life of the party. I feel like having your Mars in Leo, you want a guy that when they enter their room, everyone stands up and their heads turn to look at them. They are the type of guy who's like really attractive to you, somebody who shows up, steals the spotlight, and is the center of attention. Guys who are able to post on social media and go viral like immediately because they're so entertaining for everybody. Everyone thinks they're funny, or everybody thinks they're attractive, or everybody thinks like, oh, this person is so entertaining to be around. I feel so nurtured and happy that this person is around me. That's the type of guy who you really like. If you have your Mars in Virgo, you are seeking a guy who's very detail oriented, who could be a writer, somebody who has like a job where it's like services to other people, like they take care of other people. They could be like a nurse or somebody who is a project manager who helps other people. You could be seeking somebody who really cares about like taking care of other people and helping other people along with their projects. You might seek a guy who is like really into helping you. He could do things for you in order to help you with what you want to accomplish. They also might be very detail oriented and structured in their day-to-day life. They could be the type of person who just really loves to help other people do things. They're very communicative. He could also be a writer. You might also be really into guys who are good communicators and good writers, but you also want them to be kind of earthly and grounded and less social than a Gemini Mars would prefer. You might want somebody who stays at home, loves to read books. You might find that somebody who reads a lot is extremely attractive to you. You might find that guys who love to read and write and have like a podcast or something, you could be really into that type of guy. If you have your Mars in Libra, you really like guys who are very charming, guys who are very diplomatic and fair-minded and very good with people. You might be really into guys who are like lawyers. Like you could want to only be with a guy who is a lawyer because they're so diplomatic and fair-minded and really understand laws. You could be really into somebody who is like a socialite in a way. You could be really into a guy who loves to go out and network and build connections and partnerships with other people. You could be somebody who really likes guys who are go-getters and really likes guys who care a lot about other people. They could be very fair-minded and are very good relationship builders. They could work really, really hard on your relationship and to build a very strong foundation for your relationship. This person might put a lot more effort into your relationship than you do, and it could make you feel very happy that this person is putting so much drive and energy and focus into your relationship. That might be a huge turn on for you. It could be a turn on that this person puts so much effort into your relationship, whereas like you don't put as much effort into it. If you have your Mars in Scorpio, you are looking for somebody who's very deep, obsessive, and brooding. You could really like guys with tattoos, or you could really like guys who are very intense. These are creative types who know a lot about psychology. You could also seek a guy who doesn't really want to be in the spotlight. You could want somebody who is a little bit hidden in some way. You don't necessarily want somebody who's as bold and dynamic as somebody who would really like Leo energy. You want Scorpio energy. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, and Pluto is the farthest planet away in the solar system. So you could be seeking somebody who embodies those characteristics, where like Leo energy is more the sun and is like the center of the solar system and wants to be in the spotlight. Scorpio energy does not necessarily want to be in the spotlight unless they have to. You might also want a guy who's very protective of you, cares a lot about you, and really wants to protect you and take care of you. It might also be kind of obsessed with you, but in a positive way, not necessarily like a toxic way, but just like positive. You might want somebody who's just very positive in your life, but also kind of like protective and a little bit obsessed with you. Like their life kind of like revolves around you and they care so deeply about you and they never want to leave your side. Like that's the type of guy who you are really into if you have a Mars in Scorpio. If you have a Mars in Sagittarius, you're looking for a guy who's very playful, fun-loving, somebody who's upbeat, somebody who loves to travel. This person might want to go and travel the world and go backpacking across the entire globe with you. Like that might be your ideal type. Like you might want somebody who wants to travel, somebody who wants to go see distant lands that you've never seen before. And that could be like a big turn on for you. Somebody who's also very wise and could have a lot of college degrees or is just very smart might be very attractive to you. You could find like guys who have like a doctorate could be really attractive to you. Like that could be exactly what you want. Like that could be your ideal partner. Like your ideal type is like a guy who is a doctor or has a doctorate and even could be like a college professor. You could also fall in love with your college professors or your teachers because being ruled by Jupiter, like that kind of indicates mentors in our life or teachers. If you have your Mars in Capricorn, you might fall in love with your boss. You could fall in love with somebody in a position of power. You could be really into guys who are in positions of leadership or are very ambitious. You could be really into guys who are very into their own kind of agenda as it pertains to the business world. They could love what they do in the business world and be very good at it, and you might really like that. You might really like guys who want to take care of you, and you could also really like guys who are very earthly and practical and somebody who is a leader. You could want to go after guys who are in the spotlight and have like a strong presence in the business world and want to take care of you and make sure your life is like the best it humanly possibly can be. This person might want to provide for you and give you a house or give you like things that help you in your life. If you have your Mars in Aquarius, you're looking for somebody who's a little bit different, a little bit eccentric. You're looking for somebody who is a humanitarian and who is very like innovative. You're looking for somebody who is different and strange in some way, who loves things like conspiracy theories. They could love things like ancient aliens or conspiracy theories, or they could love things that are like a little bit different, a little bit out there. And like you think that's like really hot. Like you think the guy who is the strangest guy in the room is the most attractive to you. You might also be really into guys who really care about humanitarian things and humanitarian efforts. And like that's so hot to you. They also might like conspiracy theories. They could also be like Reddit guys who are like on Reddit all the time, and you might think that's really hot because like they're communicating and talking about things and talking about strange things too. You might like guys who are like really into video games or might have like an online presence where they talk about like Pokemon and stuff, or just things in like the digital world. They could also feel very strongly about humanitarian topics and progressing society. These guys could have like YouTube channels where they talk about like conspiracy theories or aliens in the ocean or something like that, and you find that super attractive because it's like the most interesting thing in like your entire life. If you have a Mars in Pisces, you're probably into guys who are very creative people. You could be into artists or people who are just creative types. You could be into video editors or guys who are like the brooding artists who are just very so talented, but they're kind of like Picasso where they're kind of like self-sacrificing or suffering in some way. Like you might really like guys like that. Like that might be the type of guy you're into if you have a Mars in Pisces. Now, in order to find like the rest of this part of like finding like your ideal guy, it's important to look at your Jupiter placement And your Jupiter placement will also kind of tell you like who your husband will be, because your Jupiter placement is all about luck and expansion. And when you have a husband, they kind of bring the luck into your life in some way. Like looking at your Jupiter placement too will show you what type of guys make you really happy and also bring you a lot of luck in your life. So like if you have Jupiter in the first house, you're looking for somebody who's really good looking or like really good with like appearances. These people might be kind of like selfish in a way, but in a good way. They could be people who want to like be and could be very attractive to other people. They could care a lot about themselves. If you have your Jupiter in the second house, you'll probably marry somebody or want to find a guy who's really well off and have a lot of money. These people could be real estate moguls, or they could be people who are just well off in some way. They could come from money or have like a hedge fund or a trust fund or come from a wealthy family. You might also find the guy you're going to marry when you're out shopping or doing anything that involves like material resources. This person could also help you with real estate. If you have your Jupiter in the third house, this could indicate that you're looking for a guy who's very communicative and could also have a very strong presence on social media. You could be really into guys who love social media and love intellectual topics. You could also be really attracted to somebody with a podcast. If you have your Jupiter in the fourth house, you are seeking somebody who is nurturing, who's kind of like a homebody, somebody who loves to be at home, somebody who's very emotionally intelligent. You could find that a guy being emotionally intelligent is like the most attractive thing you've ever experienced in your entire life. If you have your Jupiter in the fifth house, you could find this person when you're out partying and having fun. You could also find that your husband might be somebody who is creative and who is very smart when it comes to creating things and very creatively talented. You could be into an artist. You could be into somebody who loves performance and is a video editor, a cameraman, somebody who is a producer or a director, somebody who creates social media content. You might find that very attractive to you. And you could also find this person when you are creating things or like at a party and you network and meet this person and then you fall in love and get married. If you have your Jupiter in the sixth house, you might find that your partner is very detail oriented, somebody who is a little self-sacrificing and does things for you to make you happy. You might find this person when you are at work. This person might be a coworker that you fall in love with and get married. This person could also be affiliated with your work in some way. They could be one of your clients, or they could be, again, like a coworker is very indicative of having Jupiter in the sixth house. This person could also work in the healthcare industry or help you with your health in some way. They could be like your personal trainer and help you become a better version of you. And you might fall in love and get married to this person. If you have your Jupiter in the seventh house, you could find that you fall in love with people who are very into relationships. This person could put a lot of effort into your relationships. This person could also be somebody who you find is very attractive because they care so much and put so much effort into everything that you do. They could work to build your relationship a lot more than you have ever put effort into building a relationship. You could also find that by having your Jupiter in the seventh house, you might meet this person when you're around groups of friends. This person could also be like your best friend before you get married. You might fall in love with guys who put friendship first and seek to build like a long-term relationship with you before you get married or even go into like a romantic relationship. Having your Jupiter in the seventh house, you're looking for somebody who's your friend, who's your best friend, and then you get married or then you get into a relationship with them. If you have your Jupiter in the eighth house, you are looking for somebody a little bit deep, dark, and intense. This person could also have more personal resources than you, and this could be the kind of relationship that you seek where you don't have that much, but the other person does have a lot and you want to move into their house and they take care of you. Like that's what you're kind of looking for in a relationship or in the characteristics of the person you are going to marry or want to marry. If you have your Jupiter in the ninth house, you might fall in love with somebody who is a professor. You could find that your ideal guy is somebody who is a university professor or is your teacher or is your professor in some way. You could also find that you could meet this person when you are traveling abroad or going to another country. You could meet this person if you randomly fly to a different country and you all fall in love. That's kind of where you could meet this person if you have Jupiter in the 9th house. You could also find that this could be like a 90-day fiance situation where like you're talking to somebody online from like another country and they like you and they want to fly out and see you and then you fall in love and get married. Like that is very like Jupiter in the 9th house. It really reminds me of something like 90-day fiance, obviously like in the best manifestation possible, but that's kind of like what it kind of reminds me of, because like the 9th house is all about travel. And you having Jupiter there, you might find a guy from another country and then you get married and fall in love. If you have your Jupiter in the 10th house, you might find somebody who is a celebrity or famous or a very successful CEO. The person who you decide to marry, their life will be characterized by their own ambition and their own personal success. It is possible that you could marry somebody who is a business mogul or somebody who is very successful in the business world. You could also find that this person is a very successful person. They could again be like a celebrity in some way, or they could be somebody who has a big social media presence, somebody who could be creating products and selling them online. They could be somebody who is just very successful in their public life and you find it very attractive. It's like you want some of that. Like you want this person to be in your life. They entertain you, they make you happy, you want to keep them there forever. Like that is the type of person who you should marry. If you have your Jupiter in the 11th house, you're seeking somebody who is very good with large groups of people. This person could be like a public speaker or somebody who entertains large groups of people on the daily. They could be somebody who is a social media presence, who has a social media presence, or somebody who inspires other people in a very large way. They could be like a writer, or they could be somebody where in the business world they're working to make change. They could work for a company like the Red Cross where they are helping make change in the world and helping other people in a very large way. These people could also have something that you so desire. These people could portray something out into the universe that you want so badly, and that is why you fall in love with them. It's almost like I want this so badly, I can't necessarily reach it myself. This person has it, I want it. And then that's why you fall in love. I feel like a lot of time people can fall in love with each other because one person has something that the other person does not. That's why a lot of the time your perfect partner is in your 7th house, because it's the polar opposite of you. Like your 1st house and your 7th house are the opposites of the zodiac wheel. The 1st house is more about yourself and who you are, and the 7th house is all about the complete opposite of that. Like I feel like that's kind of indicative of you having Jupiter in the 11th house. Is like you want something that you're dreaming of. Like they have something that you dream about. Like they are the type of person that you want because they're putting out something into the universe that you do not quite have, but they do. And that is what you want. If you have your Jupiter in the 12th house, you want somebody who's spiritual. You want somebody who might not be that public with their image. They could be somebody who is not necessarily always in the public eye. They could be kind of like a recluse, or they could have escapist tendencies where they don't want to always be in the public eye. You could also find that this person has suffered previously in their life. They could come from a very rough background. They could have a difficult upbringing. They could have things that happen to them that are out of their control from like a young age. They could grow up in the middle of nowhere and have a very unstable childhood. You could find that your perfect partner is imperfect. You could find that you might want to help this person because they might seem like they're suffering. You could find that that is the type of person who you want to be around, and it fulfills you in some way to help them, and that will be the perfect person for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. My name is Elizabeth. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like this video. I put out new content every single week. Please subscribe to my Substack, Instagram, and YouTube if you like this video.